have like a circle around me, like girls, or whatever. And
It's
like,
always that changes
I guess
everything.
this is
Fuck
what I'm gonna
sports.
do now.
That's literally the exact same thing. When I started playing, and then there was a few girls that would show up to our jam, and it was me and a buddy that were playing drums. He was playing drums, I was playing guitar. We didn't even have a whole band. We just him and I, and some girls would show up. We were like, I think we found our calling.
Yeah.
I think this is the place I want to be.
Yeah, it's like all of a sudden you're like levels out the playing field, bro. You could be like 3 feet tall.
Doesn't matter
You
what
can
you
play
look like.
guitar pretty good. All right.
Hello. Hey, thanks for checking out the show. And if you like it, tell a friend. And if you want to support the show, you can by 1, subscribing and liking our YouTube channel at the DMW Podcast. 2, you can go to our website and sign up to our mailing list at the dmwpodcast.com. And 3, you can follow us on Instagram at the DMW Podcast. Thanks again for all of your support. My name is Stef, and this is the Dead Man Walking Podcast. Dude, I'm really happy. One, finally meet you, because I've heard your name for years. I've always heard awesome things about you. I've seen videos as a musician, which was some of the coolest shit that I had seen growing up.
Thanks, man.
Associated with some of like names that I had dreamed of as a guitarist when I was younger, and hearing about you like being on tours with these guys, and like it was always just to fascinate me that someone from the hood, did this. Like this was something to me that was super impressive. But funny enough, the thing that like really made me want to call you now was the James Bond stuff that you're doing.
A James Bond list.
What the fuck just happened? It's like I just see you riding motorcycles, jumping off walls, and climbing, dude, off all this shit. So
Yeah.
knowing the history behind the name, and then now seeing this new chapter was one of the things that really made me say, I got to reach out to this guy. One, meet him, because I've always wanted to. I just never had a reason to. But second is like learn more about this person and kind of the journey that he's been through. So I just want to say, it was a long intro here, but definitely just to say thank you for being here. And man, I can't wait to hear about this James Bond project and how this all came to be.
Dude, thank you, man. It's fun. Fun to come and like hang out. I mean, look, I'm not gonna be James Bond. Let's be realistic.
How tall was James Bond again?
Yeah. Just that alone, you're disqualified. No, just like I made a list at 40. When I turned 40, my brain changed. My uncle always told me, and my cousin always told me, dude, every 5-10 years your brain's gonna change. You're gonna change. You're gonna want different things. At 40 years old, I was like, this solipsistic life, this very self-centered one-track mind, since I was like 11 years old, just wanted to do music, only music.
Yeah.
And at 40, I wanted to do other things all of a sudden, just literally like out of the blue.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like you woke up. Was it on your birthday that this
Pretty
process
much
started, or was it like leading up to the birthday?
I'm really weird with that because every birthday, it's sort of like a point in time when I analyze like where I'm at, what's going on, how I feel about certain things, and I also make it like from this point to this point, or like like spring to summer, and then summer to fall. Like I have like periods that I want to do certain things in, accomplish certain things in. And then just, when I turned 40, I was like, dude, remember I used to BMX, motocross. That was like my first love.
Yeah.
All I wanted to do was BMX. I used to carry around a stack of BMX and motocross magazines with me everywhere. My neighbor was a BMXer, and used to do tricks, and I idolized that guy, and I remember once he had a Suzuki RM 125 or a 250, a two-stroke dirt bike on the driveway, revving it, smoke everywhere. He put me on the bike, and I was just shocked.
Buzzing.
Dude, it imprints this sort of like memory in you. And I remember seeing him and his buddy from down the street walking their bikes in full gear, walking to like this like open field area in Ville Saint Laurent where I lived. And I would hear the bikes, like they'd be riding, and I was never able to do it. Obviously, it's expensive. Italian parents.
It's a whole other lifestyle too. And we didn't grow up like I know I didn't grow up with my dad.
Boys, dude. We're in the city.
Yeah.
Like
ride your bike to a video store and go rent a video, and that's it. Like that's what you rode your bike for.
It was BMX to the dep to get a Mr. Freeze and a BMX magazine, and then like rip around the city and like do little jumps, or like
think you're cool. Think you're all adventurous. And it's just like the simplicity.
Or like me one day, I don't know what the hell possessed me. I built a ramp. It was like our driveway with like steps to the gate to our backyard.
Okay.
My dad's working. I just put a ramp. I got all geared up. I went down the driveway.
No.
And I just smashed through the fence, dude.
No.
And my dad was like,
How many swear words
What?
came out of your dad's mouth that day? Because
Well-
my mom would have lost his shit.
I don't even think he got mad. He was just like, he
Questioning.
was stunned. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, why would you do that? So I have no idea. I had no answer for him, bro.
Yeah.
I was just like, I wanted to get my gear on and jump through the fence.
And so
was
what happened
dumb.
after with the BMX? Like,
And
because there was all that passion, and then
And then, you basically don't grow. Everybody else grows. And you stay small. And, you don't have the money or the energy to ride. I was, like, sick. I got diagnosed with celiac at 26, but I was sick, like, my whole life.
Yeah.
I was always, like, weak and... I loved sports, but I wasn't really great at sports. I didn't have the energy. I still remember playing soccer, being really great one year. And then the next year, everybody shot up and got huge. And I remember walking by the soccer field and being like, I thought they were horses. They were like, it was so loud, all these dudes running. And I was like looking at them like, how is everybody so big? How did everybody grow?
What happened during the summer here or during the winter?
hell
What the fuck
happened,
did you eat?
I remember like it was yesterday.
Yeah.
And then from that moment on, it was like, I'm just going to like sit home and play guitar,
And the guitar? Why the guitar?
It just came like pretty much out of nowhere. My cousin, had a Strat with some Boss pedals, and he would be messing around at home at my aunt's house. I saw that, I thought it was cool, and then I saw my older brother, who's a musician, like lip syncing to like some stupidity in like elementary school, like some talent show, but they were lip syncing with cardboard guitars. For some reason, I was like, I want to do that. Like,
This makes sense.
what are you talking about, bro? Like, what are you even doing right now?
Do you know what it was that made that attractive though? Like, cause I know what made me get into guitar. Like I could see it like it was yesterday. It was a song from Guns N' Roses. My brother brought home the LP. I was like, oh my God, this is the fucking coolest thing in the world. I
Yeah.
saw Slash and I was like, oh my God, I want to be this guy.
Pretty much same thing, man.
So
Pretty
yeah,
much the same thing. Like my brother had the bands and would have his buddies over and jam, and I would just watch them. And it was like Queensryche and Motley Crue, and then Van Halen, all these bands. And yeah, I would just hear it and I would trip out. And then I started taking lessons. And I still remember one time in I think it was like elementary school. I can't remember. I was just playing like Shook Me All That Long, AC/DC, just like the intro.
Yeah.
And I had like a circle around me, like girls, or whatever. And
It's
like,
always that changes
I guess
everything.
this is
Fuck
what
sports.
I'm gonna do now.
That's literally the exact same thing. When I started playing, and then there was a few girls that would show up to our jam, and it was me and a buddy that were playing drums. He was playing drums, I was playing guitar. We didn't even have a whole band. We just him and I, and some girls would show up. We were like, I think we found our calling.
Yeah.
I think this is the place I want to be.
Yeah, it's like all of a sudden you're like levels out the playing field, bro. You could be like 3 feet tall.
Doesn't matter what
you
you
can play
look like.
guitar pretty good. All right.
Hello, that was a
Oh.
conversation starter. It was
Dude.
like it's so crazy. Like I know there's like that transition because when I was a kid too, I played sports. I played like baseball a season, and I played basketball and soccer. I fucking hated soccer. And my mom and dad just put me in it.
How do you hate soccer?
I used to be like, I don't want to play this sport. I just don't like. I had no affinity for this sport. But it was like, okay, I guess you're Italian, so you have to play soccer. I was like, that's it. There was no option. I'd be like, Mom, I don't want to fucking go. And she's like, you're gonna go. I'm like, play baseball. Like, I want to play baseball. Anyways, and so I found like the guitar for me was like almost an escape from the sports world that I felt like I never knew. I always knew I was never gonna be an athlete. I just knew that. Like now it's funny. I run and I enjoy running and all that stuff. But back then it was like, there's something about sports that I love it. I love watching it. I love like maybe, participating in it, but to go full-fledged, the training, I just knew that wasn't right. And then the guitar kind of showed up and then it was like this obsession. So like for you, when that showed up, everything changed. Like I remember you mentioning even like there was a documentary you had seen, like a Metallica documentary.
Oh, dude, that was it. A year and a half in the life of Metallica.
What a fucking great documentary that was.
I see that, and it was like exactly, it hit everything. All the studio stuff, all the rehearsing, the shows, the touring, the whole thing. I didn't know what that was at first. And when I saw that, I was like, dude, that's exactly what I want to do. Like, that was it, solidified it. I don't know if I was maybe 12 or 13. And from that moment on, it was like one track mind. Like, that's it. That I'm going to do that.
And you had mentioned your brother, but I think there was also other family members too. That there was music in your family.
My grandfather was like a prodigy trombone player in Italy. Like he played like in the bands at like 9 years old.
It's crazy.
It's pretty crazy. I still have pictures of him, and and he played in the I think Banda Gentile, you know that the
Okay.
marching band, the Italian marching
Okay.
band here. He played in that as well. But like in the house there was like, opera and all that type of stuff. So I still remember some days no one was home. My grandfather lived with us, and he was pretty, I don't want to say a mute, but he never spoke. He was kind of like a weird character. He would just sit there all day and either just hold music and read it, or you'd hear opera playing from his room.
Okay.
And the whole house would be empty and dark, and I would hear this opera playing in the house. It's kind of like it does something to you. It's kind of trippy,
Yeah.
So pretty dramatic, I would say. It's like the whole, you hear like opera in this like kind of big house, like reverberating through the wall, through the walls and stuff.
Well, hearing the recent stuff of Chronicles, I can see where there's that element of the drama, the operatic feel to it. So
maybe that's where it comes from.
Now that you're saying this,
Yeah.
it's like I can see the kind of a connection there, that maybe there's that element of your grandfather, kind of all that influence is showing up now.
Maybe. I mean, classical music, or whatever you want to call it, orchestral music, symphonic music, whatever you call it, was always interesting. I never really studied it. Like I went to Vanier for a couple years, but I wanted to be like Dream Theater. They said, oh yeah, we went to Berkeley, but we dropped out. I'm like, oh, maybe I'll go to Vanier and just drop out. Like, dude, why don't you just get your degree? Why don't you just stay?
I know.
No, I went to like Dawson, hung out with my drummer Max. I would go there and hang out. Like, dude, you're in Vanier. Like, why don't you just
and it was
do
great
the
music,
homework?
and it has its ups and downs as a program, but it was a lot of great musicians came out of this place.
I just have an aversion to school. Like, I don't like restricted environments. I think I spent one semester doing well, because at that time my dad was like, I don't understand. You want to do music, you're in music school and you're failing college. Like, I don't get, what do you, he never understood. And I remember having yelling matches, dude. Like, I'm going to get signed to a major label and I'm going to fucking tour and I'm going to be like in a rock band.
Yeah.
Yelling matches, dude.
That's crazy.
Finally, like, quit, dropped out, whatever. Because I remember being like home and like leaving at 1 o'clock. It's like, are you even going to school anymore? Like, what are you doing? You're not, like, you're not a kid, you're like, whatever, 18 years old or whatever. And, yeah, dude, first show he saw, the next day, I remember waking up and there was like $50 under my coffee cup,
And what did he say?
Because my dad loves music. He watches all the shows, Sanremo and all that stuff. When we were younger, it was like, the Beatles, Rolling Stones, whatever, playing at home on.
Yeah.
He didn't have a huge collection, but there
He
was a
enjoyed
little
it.
bit of, there was a little bit of music. He loves live shows. He loves that stuff. So when he saw it, he was like kind of tripped up because he had no idea where the hell I was going every day.
Yeah.
Dude, we were rehearsing like 6 hours a day, 6 days a week. I was really brutal. Jeff and I were really brutal, and the bands we were in were pretty serious. Like we were on the same page. Like each guy in that band wanted the same thing, and we made it a point. 6 days a week, 6 hours a day. We're there. We're writing. We're practicing. We're gonna go. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do this. It was like all planned out. I had a lot of mentors. I had like Blake Lemieux was in metal bands back in the day, was sort of like our manager, and I would hang out with him a lot. And he was like very supportive and very like, he would tell me, you got to do this, got to do this. So every kind of like band or band we were in, our drummer's brother George, he helped a lot too. All these great people around us. Even when I worked at Etal Melody, do you remember that music store?
Yeah, of course.
That was my first job working in stock. Pat, Olivier, all these guys are still like my brothers. They were like my mentors, so they kind of guided me and like showed me what to do. And I would read every magazine, and I would call Slaves on Dope. I remember calling Kevin and Jason and the dudes in Scrum Muffin, Rico and Coco, and just asking a million questions.
It's so
constantly.
It's so crazy, man, because there's two types of people. I felt like it's funny. There's a lot of people that will kind of keep to themselves and say they don't want to ask for the help, because they felt weak or whatever it was. So for you, it was the opposite. You kind of went and said, okay, I'm going to go ask the people that are doing shit that I want to do one day and see what they're doing. Yeah. And the funny part is they actually all responded and probably helped you.
Dude, I'm like, hey, what's up, Frank? It's like, yeah, what's up? It's like, hey, dude, I have your cassette. I love your band, man. And like, how do you do this? I would call Coco and be like, dude, how do you do this? What's up with this? What's up with that? And would read every music magazine, every Metal Edge, everything, just like absorbing every piece of information I can find. What is the path? Where is the path to the
There's an answer
deal?
somewhere here.
Dude.
And then, so now that you went through this whole process of kind of information overload, you're working your ass off. And this, so which band was this? Because I know there was.
We were called like Headspace back in the day.
Okay, that's all right. Because I remember
Yeah.
it being Pulse Ultra, but then the album was Headspace.
Yeah.
But then it was Headspace before Pulse Ultra. So I wasn't sure.
I'm
Like,
not sure if I'm allowed saying anything, but there
Okay.
was like a really stupid reason why we couldn't keep the name Headspace.
Okay.
Which, looking back, I could have paid for it.
okay, it's always like that. You make it such a big deal, and it was probably not as big of a deal. But anyways,
I just, it's like ridiculous. We could have. It was a really good name, you know.
yeah, that's why. Because I remember the name Headspace.
Yeah.
But then I think Zoe was the singer, if I remember correctly.
Yep. Yep.
And Zoe was cousins with my bass player. And that's how I kind of started hearing about you guys more. And I was like, oh, fuck. Like, okay. Like,
Yeah.
it was cool. And I was hearing all these amazing stories about you guys getting signed to Atlantic. And I was like, wow. And I remember I was talking with Jay and I was like, man, that must be so fucking cool. Like,
It was hard because, like, you know, we're in Montreal. We didn't play a lot of shows. I didn't want to sort of like burn out, you know, the city, because you want to have like, you want to make each show an event. You want to make it special.
yeah.
So we played a bunch of smaller shows and stuff like that. But like when we started doing like more shows, like our, you know, our Headspace or Pulse Ultra shows or whatever, we would plan them out, you know, make sure that like the set list was tight and different.
Yeah.
You know, and we would like, you know, do whatever whatever we could do to sort of make it like a special event so people would actually care and want to come, you know.
Yeah.
And then, dude, I would just made a pretty sick press kit and I would just sneak my way backstage, Slipknot, like just hang out
What would you do?
backstage.
Yeah,
And be
you
like,
just
what's up,
hang
man? Hey, Jim, you want to listen to our CD, man? He's like, who the hell is this kid? You know, like, where the hell you come from?
Who's this fucking guy?
Like, I made it backstage to like Incubus in Toronto. Jeff and I just like walked in and like hung out with them. And then I remember them even saying, hey, dude, you sounds really good, whatever. You know, it's like, cool. You know, nothing happened. And then Taproot was the sort of like that knock on the door that answered, you know.
I was just about to say, who was the band that, was there a band that opened the door for you guys to walk into Atlantic?
I was Taproot, you know, like I brought them a 6-pack of beer. I think Mike thought I was a runner for the club. So I walked on the bus, a 6-pack of Heineken. That was the story. And I gave him our press kit, hung out with him, hung out with the whole band. And then that night after the show, he's like, dude, call this number, call our manager. Sorry.
No way.
Call our manager, you know. All right, cool, man. You know, he was listening to our CD, actually listening to it.
That's
And,
crazy.
yeah.
Man, what were you thinking? Because back then, like all these magazines you're reading, all this shit that you're doing, the 6 hours a day, 6 days a week, and now you got the call. Like,
I was high on Percocet.
dude, that's an honest answer. So
And it was like legal because I had my wisdom teeth pulled out. It was my birthday. And my dad was like, either you go get this now or like insurance is over now. Like you're turning 21. You got to do it before your birthday, this, that, whatever. Got the wisdom teeth pulled out.
oh man,
All delirious.
amazing moment and terrible at the same time.
Telling everybody I love them. High on Percocet at home, just like not knowing what the hell's happening. I check my email and I see an email from a manager, you know, like saying, hey, dude, you know, Mike told me about this. Call me, you know, whatever, want to talk. Next day, call him up. He's like, we like the demo, whatever. And then from then on, every week there was a development. You know, send us a video. Send us more songs. We're going to come out. We're going to watch you. We want to see you guys. So manager actually ended up flying out to see us. We had to put a show together for him. And from that point, I basically hit up our lawyer, Chris Taylor, who was in Toronto. And like top entertainment lawyer who I ended up meeting at North by Northeast because Jeff and I would go to Toronto to go to like Canadian Music Week, North by Northeast, do the whole like schmooze thing to try to meet people, try to like hang out, do whatever.
Yeah. And
I ended up meeting Chris and he was nice enough to take our press kit. And then, you know, when Velvet Hammer called us, I called Chris and said, you know, it looks like we have some interest. So next, you know, we kind of had this like sort of team like right away. And that was it, dude. Then we showcased for Atlantic a few months later, and it was insane. Ian Thornley was there, who's like my idol, dude.
Wow.
You know, like, and they knew that we loved him, you know, and he ended up coming to Ted's Wrecking Yard, this small club in Toronto, on a Tuesday afternoon.
Couldn't watch you guys.
It's like freezing. Yeah, there was like five people in the audience. It was just industry people with our lawyer, you know, Atlantic was there, whatever. And we showcased, went across the street, and they're like, you know, we love it, this, that, whatever, and ended up getting a deal a few months later. We had to continue writing. You know, our management wanted us to like write as much as possible. And a couple more demos later, you know, we did a deal with Atlantic, which was pretty huge.
Yeah. Like, okay, just 1 second, just to pause for a sec, because there's so much that happened.
Yeah.
And then there's all this work, all that shit that you put time and effort. And now you're there, you're signing this document, like
Yeah.
this is the thing that you've been dreaming of since when, like 11 years old or
Yeah.
so, and how old were you at that time?
We were 21, man.
So it's like a
Yeah.
10-year road trip of getting there, like with the ups, the downs, the disappointments, the fucking, everyone goes through all that stuff. But now you're there, and really it's the first step. It's like, it's
Oh,
not that you
yeah.
made it, it's
Yeah,
just the
yeah,
first step.
Yeah.
So how was that process of recognizing that thing that you were hoping for, you finally arrived, but you realize that it's just a door that you're walking through into a completely new journey?
I mean, it's like, it felt like I won the lottery.
That must have been an amazing feeling,
I,
man.
I was on a whole other level because you're like, it happened.
It
Like,
happened. No, but dude, that was
like
a dream
what?
that I had. So
Dude.
to this day, no matter what, you always ask yourself, imagine if I would have ever had that moment, like even just that one moment in the sun. And I think anyone that really cared about playing music or played in a band and wrote something, if you ever did it and you cared about it, that's a moment that everyone wishes they had, and you've had it. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's always it's always an interesting thing to learn.
Yeah.
Someone that actually walked through that path.
It's heavy. It's heavy because, like, when you're a kid, you're like praying about it constantly,
Yeah.
begging, writing it down, just like visualizing it, doing whatever you can. And next thing you know, you have all that stuff you wanted. You have the guitar deal. You have all the, all the gear endorsements, magazine covers, the whole thing. It changes your brain.
I
And
was just about to say, how did it?
I think it was great, but like it definitely changes the way you look at things. And then that type of roller coaster, the up and down for a few years, and then you get dropped because first record didn't sell what they expected it to sell. So much money put behind it, so much tour
Time.
support and all that stuff, and then you write another record. No, they're not down. You get dropped. 2004. Like, it's only been a couple of years, man. Like you just.
Yeah.
And then what?
And you're only 25.
Not even, man. I was just like, what's happening now? What do you now? What? And you're still on this high, like where you think everything is just sort of like rolling the way it should roll. Like, wait, this should happen, and why aren't we doing this? And then you get angry, and there's a lot. It's like very like it
The
becomes
tension comes in.
Yeah, because you have a huge ego. You think it's just gonna continue.
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean it went away? And then we ended up working with Lucas Rossi like right after that, to try to maybe get him to be the singer of Pulse Ultra. But instead of that, we decided to do a new band.
Okay.
It was called Rise Electric for a little while.
Okay.
Same thing there. Back and forth to Toronto for like a long time, trying to make that happen. Wrote a lot of music. And then, no deal came out of that, but he ended up going to do the Rockstar Supernova with Tommy Lee and all that stuff.
I went to a recording of that. It's funny.
In LA, you went to that? You saw Lucas?
I saw Lucas Rossi. He sang, I think it was Creep.
Yeah,
on
that was the first show.
I think it was one of the. I don't remember.
No, that wasn't the first one. The first one was Billy Idol track, I think he did.
Fuck, I don't remember, but I remember Creep for some reason. So I
Yeah,
think we were at that episode, and we went there, and I remember I was like just in awe, because to me, Jason Newsted, Metallica, I was a huge fan. Then there was Tommy Lee, Gilby Clarke. I was like, holy fuck. To me, it was a dream. And I remember we went to go and watch the episode, and then we met them after the show. And, Tommy Lee was exactly like Tommy Lee. Like, there is camera or no camera, he's that guy. But I was shocked because Jason Newsted was like a bit of a dick. And I was like, maybe it was a bad day. Who knows, right? Like, you don't fucking know. Like, but when you're a kid, you're like, well, Jason Newsted's a dick. I thought he was a nice guy in Metallica,
Yeah.
And it was a crazy experience. So that's when you just drop like Lucas Rossi's name. It literally brings me back to, that day of like seeing this and saying, oh my God, imagine being that guy that gets selected.
He was living at my house, dude.
Is that great? What a crazy small world.
We were going to Toronto back and forth for a long time, and then EMI was. He had a deal with EMI, and they were kind of funding that whole thing with us. They were trying to make it work. And then, he ended up moving to Montreal, living at my house for a while.
Oh, he moved to Montreal for
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he came to Montreal, like, look, we're going to give it another go, because we were, it wasn't kind of working out at the end. But then he ended up staying at my house. And then when I decided to sort of like just do my own thing after that, it was like, hey, it's time for everybody to go home. Everybody has to leave the house, And then he ended up saying, hey, dude, I got the call for this. I'm like, I told him, you have to go because you're going to win. You're going to win, bro.
So I was going to say that conversation.
He's the best. You're gonna
he
win.
He was out of all the contestants, he was
like,
definitely a bar above everybody.
I told him, you have to go, you're going to win.
It's crazy because
we were tripping out. We're like, My ex-wife girlfriend at the time, we were at my place. We were watching him and almost crying. I was so happy for him, man. I was like, this kid's like, this is where he needs to be. Like, this is what should be happening, you know?
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was great. And lucky enough, one of the tracks that we had played in Rise Electric, Headspin, he ended up making as the lead single for that project. So that was cool to see. You know, that was pretty.
How is it,
sick.
like, as a writer now, from a writer perspective, seeing some of your idols playing your song?
They changed a couple things, but it was still weird. It was still cool. You know, it was like, wow, that's pretty sick. You know, like.
And, you know, but I remember there at one point, sorry, just to kind of jump back to something.
Yeah.
When you guys were touring, you guys had met a ton of people because you were on Ozzfest, if I remember right.
Yeah.
And did that open the door for you now on building? Because then you ended up going into a band with, you know, the guitarist of System of a Down.
Yeah.
You know, did that happen through the connections from Ozzfest? How did that
Same
happen?
management, because Taproot was the second signing to Velvet Hammer, but System of a Down was Velvet Hammer's first signing, you know?
Okay.
Because Bino, David Benvenisti is like a genius manager, huge manager, you know? And he basically made System of a Down happen. Then he had Taproot, then he had us. So we were just 3 bands on that management for a while. And then in 2008, I think it was, I remember I got a call from them and they said, hey, do you know any bass players? Because they knew like I was like the schmooze guy 5000, dude. Like I was the guy hanging out with every band. I was like knocking on doors. Yo, let's go. Let's hang out. Like I was like that annoying loudmouth, you know, that would just go hang out with every band. And it's like,
oh, fucking paid off, dude.
Just
you
want to hang out.
But you also made so many people. You met so many people in the process. And, you know, it opened up the doors for you when Pulse Ultra didn't end up going the way you planned.
Yeah, it was cool because when I got the call, I remember it was like, I think it was maybe like a Sunday dinner at my parents' place, you know. And
it's always like, Sundays. Italians is.
You have to. You're gonna die. You'll be.
It's like fucking religion.
You'll be killed if you don't go.
When I told my family that I was done, I said I'm not coming anymore.
Why?
Okay, because they used to do it Tuesday nights.
Dude, that's sacrilege.
It's like
Sunday lunch or dinner.
Yeah, so it was like Tuesday nights. Everyone was exhausted. Like no one looked like, you know, like it would be times where you could see everyone's tired. I said, you know what? I'm out. Like not because I don't want to be here, but it's like everyone's tired. It's like it's not a good time, you know.
Yeah.
My mom and my dad were like, "What? Yeah. No. What do you mean you're not coming?" And then you know, it's like, anyways, dude, that's why when you said the Sunday.
But yeah. So I got the call and they're like, "Dude, we know you're like again schmooze guy. You know, like, do you know any bass players? You know?" I'm like, "What's it for?" It's for you know, Darren and John. They're doing Scars on Broadway. I'm like, "I want to do it." First thing I said, like, you want to play bass in this? I'm like, dude, 100%. I love those guys. Of course I want to do it, you know? All right, I'll get back to you. And I think that day they're like, yo, they're down if you want to come try out. So I went out there, tried out. And
how was it though? Because you've been a guitarist this whole time. I'm not saying that I mean, there's similar elements, but there's an element to bass that makes bass very unique too. So did you feel uncomfortable at the beginning?
No, I just like, I wanted to be, you know, I obviously looked up to Darren and his songwriting and everything, you know.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, like I'll learn so much, you know, like playing with these guys. I don't care. Like I'll do what it takes. I want to go like be a part of this. It's like the music's gonna probably be freaking amazing, you know. And I had to do an audition video. I don't remember what song I played. I did like an audition video and I sent it out and then went out to LA, did an audition, and then it was between me and another dude. They chose that other dude.
Okay.
And I was like, all right, cool, man, whatever, you know. And then a week later, they fired that dude and they called me to go out. So I was like, all right, whatever, you know, like I'm not putting any hopes in, you know. You know, at that point, I was doing Chronicles anyway.
I was gonna say because you started Chronicles that period.
It's like my solo record, but it was still like a band. But it was so difficult to get it off the ground, you know. My cousin was funding it, and then you know, couldn't put too much more money into it. And, you know, I had a really great band, really super cool guys and everything, but, you know, couldn't really afford to play and tour. It's like a lot more expensive than people think, you know? And
we don't realize that. You think it's a music thing, but there's a production behind all this stuff.
There's stuff to pay for and stuff to do. And I wasn't really working. And it's like, you know, it was hard. So when I got the call to do Scars, I was like, I have to go. I'm not going to not go do this, you know?
Yeah.
So I went out and then, ended up like touring some pretty cool tours, you know, went to Europe and everything. Was back out.
You played with Metallica. You played a few
Yeah,
gigs with
there was.
Metallica.
I think I don't remember if that was the first or second incarnation. I think it was the first. Yeah, it was the first incarnation. We did like three shows with Metallica. One was at the Wiltern, which
Okay.
was like the Silver Lake Foundation that Flea's Silver Lake music
Okay, yeah.
thing.
Okay, I heard about that.
It was like a fundraiser, at the Wiltern. It was just like Scars opening for Metallica. It was crazy.
Okay,
It
just
was
to
crazy.
pause for a second, because
Yeah.
now you watched that video, you watched that documentary at 11 years old,
Yeah.
watching a year and a year and a half in the life of Metallica, and now you know that you're sharing a stage with them.
I wouldn't say I'm just a dude hired playing
Yeah,
playing
but you're
bass,
still,
but and like I never really even spoke to
okay,
those
okay. I was
guys.
gonna say, did you get a chance to meet them or
No,
speak
I
with
mean
them? Okay,
Rob, the bass player, was on Ozzfest with us because he was with Oz. He was playing
yeah,
with
it was Ozzy's bass
yeah.
player.
He's always been so nice, so cool, But it's not as if
Okay,
these guys would know who the hell I am.
okay.
It's like
I
whatever.
wasn't sure because you were the schmoozer.
Yeah, I
So
was,
like,
but
did
not
you?
with those guys.
I was like, did you bring a
It's
six
just- it's
pack
sort
to
of like-
Metallica? Okay,
And then walk away, like don't bother them. It's like,
Okay.
what are you gonna say to them?
Yeah.
It's just like, at the end of the day, it was a lot of fun. It was super cool, dude. You learned so much, and it was a trip, to be back and playing with like the big boys, and being like, I used to watch System every day from behind John's drums on Ozzfest. From watching them to like being
on stage. With
on
them.
stage with them, looking at Darren, and being like, wow, dude, like this is insane.
I was gonna say, like, those moments, like, I'm not a person that I don't think living in the past is a good thing. I think it's great to acknowledge, like, and appreciate it, because sometimes there's people that have gone through these moments, and then that's all they think about is just that, and I wish it could be that. But you had mentioned that it was tough at one point because it had calmed down. All the stuff was kind of slowing down from the magazine covers, all that stuff, and then it started picking back up.
Yeah.
Did you have a different appreciation for it? Or did it, you just, like, it was almost the complete opposite? You didn't appreciate it at all. You know
Like
what I'm
we were
saying?
talking about before, the concussion,
Yeah.
because the up and then the down
Yeah.
is really hard, and then you start going out and partying and all this to sort of like
Yeah.
try to stay in that sort of like headspace of like try to forget things, but also try to like stay like hyped up. You
Yeah.
go and you drink and you party and all that stuff like every night, and then you go back up. And then bang, you come back down. Like we were touring, and then it just ended abruptly. There was some stuff going on, and Scars just ended up stopping, out of the blue. And I remember having to go back to work at Ital Melody, and we were just got off a headlining tour in Europe.
How was that,
Do
dude?
you remember the club, the Medley?
Yeah, for sure.
We were booked at the Medley. Apparently, it was sold out. So come back, get the call that it's over, go to work at Ital Melody selling guitars. As I'm like, putting on my backpack, watching Music Plus, watching our videos, Scars on Broadway video on Music Plus.
How?
You're like,
Yeah, dude.
like watching yourself on TV, closing it, taking the bus to work, and for 9 months there were kids that would come in and be like,
Aren't you?
and I'm not even lying, dude, like almost every day.
Oh,
And I was
man.
like, I remember saying, nope, and I'd go walk away. Talk about like ego smasher 5,000.
Holy fuck!
But-
How did that, dude? That must have been.
I
That must
made
have been
friends.
fucking tough, man.
I just packed my backpack with Chronicles albums and stickers, and just made friends with a ton of new people.
Yeah.
And would just you change your attitude and your perspective. You're like, you know what? I love the people I work with. These guys are freaking awesome. We laughed every day.
Yeah.
These people that would come in and say something, I would hang out with them while I'm selling them a guitar. We'd hang out, and I'd make a new Chronicles fan and like make friends with these people. Be like, yo, cool dude, whatever. Like, who cares?
Isn't perspective on life, like, that's the funny thing about it, is you could have taken that moment and completely gone on a fucking shitstorm and just like completely shelter yourself from everything. Instead, you kind of looked at it from a different angle and said, you know what? I've had experiences that people have never had in their life, and I'm working on a new project, which is the Chronicles project. And I read a bit about it, because I'd always wondered how it started.
Yeah.
And I'd read about it that it was kind of like with anime
Yeah, I
involved.
was. I'll be honest with you. Like,
Yeah, well, what's the story behind
I
it?
have no idea why I was into anime. I don't like anime.
I was like, what? When I started
would
reading
watch
about
it.
this, I said, what the fuck? I said, he must have been on something.
Yeah, dude. Like bad
The
life
Percocets.
choices, bad life habits. I'd be watching it and I was like, this is sick. This is really cool. And then after a while, I'd be like, I have no idea what this is. Like, I don't understand. I don't even understand. So I kind of stopped watching it. But the beginning was like a lot of like this. It's so violent.
It's insane.
You know, it's insane. So I started getting all these cool images and like, oh, this could be cool. So when I was conceptualizing the project and writing and all that stuff, yeah, that was a big influence with the makeup and all that type of stuff.
Yeah.
After that, I was like, kind of dropped it pretty fast.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was working there, and I was married at the time, and I was pretty much in a good, like, I'm kind of was in a decent mood. Like, it was
Yeah.
okay. It was like whatever. I had a band, you know, I was playing with Justin, all those dudes, and it was a lot of fun. You know, there was like more good times than bad times. You know,
Yeah.
I was working there, and like that's where I met Jules. You know, got closer to Jules too, and Dave Traina and all these dudes.
Yeah.
I was, man, I love these guys. You know,
Yeah.
so it's like your life is good. You actually realize like your life is good. Like who cares if you're like playing right now or whatever.
It's so fucked up when you start recognizing that life isn't as, because you make it out to be that it's terrible unless it's this.
Yeah, and I never had that ego of like, oh, I'm a like rock star guy. You know, like
Yeah.
maybe I looked like it, but I never really I don't think that way. You know, like
It's funny,
I like people. Like I like my friends and stuff. Like every time I would meet somebody that was into the band, I'd be happy. I'd be like we became friends. You know, I became friends with like most of the dudes that liked Chronicles and stuff like that. You know, and people whatever. And so, you know, we recorded and we got our bunch of demos done and stuff like that. And then I got the call I went to Iraq like twice.
Yeah.
Around that time. That was crazy. Got the
But
call.
you went as what? As Chronicles?
Okay, so
or...
I got the call because one of the dudes that played in Scars ended up meeting some people that were going out there. And it was basically Scars, but Darren didn't come. So,
Okay.
you know, we went out there. We played like a bunch of covers for like a couple weeks, you know?
That's crazy.
It's insane. You're like in like one of those like military helicopters, you know, like without the Blackhawks there.
Yeah. I was
So-
say, how's that whole experience? It's like you're going into a fucking movie scene.
Dude, at first I was nervous because I have celiac. What the hell am I going to eat?
It's funny. I didn't even think of that.
I packed my suitcase full of like
it's just food,
bread,
protein, and
yeah, like bread and like all that. I was all nervous. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna make this happen. Go out there. You know, I don't want to say emotional, but you meet these soldiers and you're like, dude, man, these guys are like great people. You know,
Yeah.
and like, you really have to be there and talk to these dudes to be like, man, like I'm really happy I came here, and I'm happy that we got to play for them, and you know, it made them happy for like a little while. And
How is that perspective? Because, you know, we always think life is certain, you know, it's hard, it's tough. I get it, whatever. You know, there is an element of toughness. But then you go into a scenario like that where you're dealing with soldiers that are completely away from home. There's in the middle of a fucking shitstorm that's happening out in the Middle East. And now you're seeing life from a completely different angle. You know, that usually does have an impact. Like, has that moment for you completely changed your point of view on things, or definitely opened up your eyes on something?
you know what, man? I always wanted to be in the army when I was a kid. I always played army. Like I always acted like a soldier. I used to go get like army surplus helmets, like Korean helmets, and you know I was like that weird kid. You know, like playing. What are you playing? I don't understand you. You know, like watching all the war movies. Like,
Yeah.
it's weird, but I always wanted to do that, but I couldn't. Right? I was a sickly kid. Like, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? So in a way, I was kind of like lucky to be able to go and be in that environment and meet these people. You know, and like. These are like warriors, man. You know what I mean? Like, like these are like some of the strongest, smartest people. People don't realize that. Like, you gotta be out there. You're a highly trained individual to go out there and do this, man. You know, you're a tough person. You know, you're not like some wimpy ass dude. You know, that's just like talking shit all day. Like, you're out there, man, risking your life.
Yeah,
You know, and
it's
like,
for real.
And it's for real, and you believe. And the thing is, like, I don't like war, of course, obviously, because if you really understand the military industrial complex, we're not going to go into all that, but like I don't really like getting into that topic because I don't understand it enough or know it
it's
enough.
complex.
It's too complex.
All
I could say is I got to shoot military grade fully automatic weapons, which was the sickest experience of my life, dude.
I shot machine guns in Vegas, dude. It was insane, and I can't even imagine the military grade shit.
So in your brain you're like, this is sick, and then at the same time there's this cognitive dissonance because it's like this is meant to shred people alive, and you're just like,
you know,
I don't know what I think about this.
it's it's funny you say that. I thought I had this great fucking idea once. My girlfriend, you know, tried to get new ideas of like what to do for birthdays and shit. So
I don't like where this is going.
So I said, you know what? Let's go to a shooting range. And she's never done this before. I had done it in Vegas. It's fun, whatever. Let's go do that. And it didn't go as planned. It did not go as planned. She took one shot. She's like, oh my God, this is terrible. Like these things kill people.
Yeah, she
Why
lost
she
it.
lost it? She just gave it. She like teared up. She's like, I
Yeah.
really can't do this. She's like, if you want, you could shoot the rest. I'm like, fine, give it. Ta, 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 ta. And I lost my shit shooting it, but it
Yeah.
was just like it backfired. This gift for her did not go well. So
Yeah.
it's true because then when you put it into context, you're like, this thing is not made to like
It's not
have,
recreational.
it's not recreational. Like usually in general, something bad is happening,
Yeah.
when you're doing it. And so it's definitely like, it's funny you say that you have this weird like dissonance going on of this is fun, but this could really hurt someone. You know
Dude,
what I
I
mean?
shot a 50 cal off an MRAP, which is like
Oh my
like an
God.
armored personnel carrier, you know? It's like a butterfly trigger or whatever into a sand pit. The bullets are like that big or whatever. One shot and my ear was ringing because my headphones weren't tight enough. And
Oh,
I'm
man.
already paranoid for my hearing, you know?
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm good, man.
Thank you.
I went down, I sat down, just like,
Oh my God, this is every day. That's what
dude, these guys are like shooting 50 cals, like, you know, like
Yeah, dude.
pretty insane stuff. We did it twice, when in '09 and 2010, and got to shoot those weapons and everything both times, which was a lot of fun. But yeah, it was like a pretty amazing experience, man. You know.
But now it's like you've gone through all this. You had these highs, the lows, then these kind of appreciative moments of going into those things like going to Iraq. But you're always in the music element,
Yeah.
and like you had said that all of a sudden there was a period where that kind of stopped being as enjoyable, and maybe
Yeah.
this is where I don't know if you want to dive into that or not. It's up to you, but you had felt like maybe you had hit like a peak, or what was it that you felt maybe?
That was later because I was still, still fighting to move forward, So I did another incarnation of Chronicles around 2010,
Yeah,
and it still didn't work out.
okay.
So I always end up writing records twice. That's a
What do you
problem.
mean? Like you
Like
literally write the
I
album twice
yeah,
itself?
like I do the whole thing and I'm like, I don't think this is right yet, and then like kind of like redo it and then redo it a million freaking times. It happens all the time. I don't know what my problem is.
But do you think it's an element that you're hearing something that is just not coming out, or you're just not satisfied with it?
Um, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what it is. It takes me a million years to do stuff.
Okay.
But then like I got divorced in like 2012, but before that, around 2011, I ended up going out to LA and spending a lot of time there and doing session work. That was probably
Okay.
some of the funnest times
That's
of my
amazing.
life. I had so much fun. I was living with my buddies and stuff like that. It was like on and off. I came back quite often. But I was doing a lot of sessions, and that's when I ended up playing on the Billy Ray Cyrus record, which was cool. I met him like for like 3 seconds one time.
Yeah.
But you're in studio with other like engineers and musicians, so. But it was I thought it was a great record, and it was a lot of fun to play on that. So I learned about I don't want to say studio musician because I was just like working with a few really cool producers, and that's where I met my buddy Chad, and he ended up producing the second Chronicles record at my buddy Brandon's house. That's where I met I was playing with his wife Becky at the time as well in
Okay.
her band. So it was like so much fun.
So much stuff came out of this.
Hollywood
Like,
Hills after a Deftones tour with Scars, recording the album. It was so much fun. It was amazing. And yeah,
did that
that's
kind of
when-
reconnect you with the like? Did that kind of satisfy you where it's like, hey, I'm not going to be the guy in the front. I'm like
Yeah.
being on the background of it is just as enjoyable because I'm part of this process.
Yeah, I mean, I always wanted to be in the studio and be busy,
Yeah.
So it would be like because after the second incarnation of Scars, when Darren put the band back together in 2012, I was doing sessions, and then Scars was coming back. So that 2012 was like a pretty big year.
Yeah.
We ended up doing a Deftones tour, and dude, I had posters of Deftones in my room.
I know it's crazy when I saw
I
some of
was,
the
like,
tours that you had
tripping.
been on.
Yeah.
I'm like, holy shit, these are the names that you're growing up, and you're like, these were posters. These
Yeah.
like every like band that I saw on that list of tours. I'm like, holy fuck, like I either had a poster or I read an article about them in Metal Edge, like, and you're playing
Dude,
with them.
I idolized Chino, man.
That's
like,
crazy.
Like I remember, every time I felt sick, like not, I would put on like Around the Fur. I
Yeah.
would put on like White Pony. Every time I didn't feel good, I would be energized.
God,
It was
I
like
haven't-
medicine.
I haven't heard that shit in such a long time, but yeah, dude,
Yeah.
it's
So
it's
we ended
crazy.
up doing a tour with them, and I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. I got to see those guys every day, and then I got to watch Coachella at Chino's house. He called us over to go hang out, and I was like, I
What a
can't
trip.
believe this is
That,
happening.
I was gonna say,
Can't believe this is
what are you
happening.
doing? What are you thinking? Like, if you can remember, like even just walking there.
He's so chill. He's such a cool dude. You know, we just had a lot of fun. Just watched Coachella and had a couple laps, and then Danny and I went home. It was like,
It's so funny because you always think it's gonna be these epic things.
yeah,
It's like you just hung out and then
yeah,
that's the
that
day
was
ends.
epic. To me, that was like, I'm never gonna forget that. It was so much fun. It was so cool, and that's it, dude. Then after that, we finished the Chronicles record. That was probably like November ish, and then
This is album 2 or album 1?
yeah, the second
Okay.
album. Chad produced it, recorded it. Becky produced all the vocals. So again, those times are gonna always like be probably some of my best times of my whole life. You know,
Yeah.
the vibe of those people is just, they're my family for life. You know, and I came back. Visa expired in like 2013. And so I came back, and then like I went back and forth a few times just to like go to NAM and stuff like that. But then I decided I'm just gonna work on Chronicles. So I
Yeah.
finished the record. Chad mixed it. You know, had
This is
it all
album
done.
3 now we're talking.
The second
Oh,
one.
this is the second one.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we ended up putting a really sick band together. Still boys with all those guys, and did a bunch of shows. But then at that point, that's when things started sort of like not going well, physically and all that stuff,
Yeah.
because you know a deal didn't come, a bunch of promises didn't happen,
Yeah.
and like
The
at a certain,
disappointment was hard.
it's too much after a certain point, man. I like messed up my neck headbanging in a weird way.
Okay.
I hurt my throat. I thought I had a node on my vocal cords.
Oh shit.
So on top of having to kind of put everything together and have the pressure of having to be like the singer and the guitar player, playing all that complicated crap that I wrote without singing. So I had to I did all this crazy guitar stuff,
And
and
now
then
you
I had
can't
to
even
sing
play
over it.
or you got to get another guitarist to play all that stuff, and you just faking half of it.
Can't do that.
Yeah.
So I would just sit there and slowly practice mouthing the rhythm over the guitar parts. And it took months
Oh man.
and months of practicing to be able to sing over the guitar parts at the same time. But I think that's actually good. A good
It helped
thing.
you now.
Dude, it's like, I think that was probably like the best thing that ever could have happened, because you improve so much, you advance so much. It's your brain starts to like
Almost like a drummer in a sense, where a drummer has like 4 different bodies almost when they're playing.
Yeah.
Their arms are completely independent. Their legs are independent. Everything is, and then it becomes like now. I always found with guitar that was one thing, is that you're not independent. It's like your guitar and you are in sync completely. So I always found it so amazing when you see people that can sing and play such complicated things on guitar, because I can't sing. I suck at singing. And then on top of it, singing well on top of something complicated, it would just seem like
it was hard.
It must have been
was brutal.
fucking crazy.
It was brutal, and I had really bad vocal technique too. So I hurt myself.
Strain, yeah.
So every time I swallowed, it hurt. I thought I had something wrong with my throat, and I was too paranoid to go to the doctor.
Yeah.
So I had this problem, that problem, this problem, and at the end of that, right after the release, instead of going really like aggressive at promoting it, I cut it. I said, I'm done, guys. I can't do this anymore. I gotta sleep. Like I gotta go to bed.
How did everyone take that news?
I'm sure they were really disappointed, but I
You just had to.
I couldn't do it, dude. I couldn't.
And this is what year now? Like
this is end of 2016.
okay.
So I was like, and then
That's when you had released the second album. At that
yeah,
point.
that was the second album release, and everybody was like sort of like amped and really wanted to do stuff, and we had a couple offers for a couple tours, and I'm like, how are we gonna even do it?
Yeah.
Like my buddy Marcos called me from POD. He's like, dude, why don't you come out with us? And everybody was all excited. It's like, dude, how are we gonna afford it?
Yeah.
And then we're gonna go do that. We're gonna come back in debt, and then what?
Yeah. So did you feel like at that point in life you had like a negative outlook?
I was horrifically negative.
Yeah.
Like, I was living at my cousin's house. Thank God, he's like my cousin is like my mentor. I love that dude. He saved me forever. I had very poor health choices and decisions and habits at that point. Let's just say, So I'll just play guitar all day, go rehearse, do this, do that, whatever. It was like, I thought I really hurt something in my neck.
Yeah.
I thought, I was having migraines. I don't know what the hell was going on. Pain here. But I was like, dude, I have to fix one thing at a time here, man. You know? So it takes a long time to sort of rebuild yourself, get back, to get into shape. But it took years. It didn't just take like, a few months later, I'm good.
No.
And I decided to, at that point, I was playing with Curious Case with Janny and Jules.
Okay.
And that was like a lot of fun, because it was like, it wasn't my thing. It was our thing. So I didn't have so much pressure on me, but I was still a mess I was like a mess going into this, and it wasn't fair to those guys either, So we did a show, and then in early 2017, and after that, it was just like everything kind of went like downhill.
Just stop.
I was playing guitar, and that's about it. I would just like maybe.
It was like a crossroads in life at that point. Like, what do I do? But I'm not. I know I need to do something, but I can't even take a step forward.
Like, go to the eye doctor, go to the dentist, go to maybe it's something. No cavities. 13 years later, I don't know how the hell that happened. Go to the doctor. It's like, I don't think there's any nerve damage, but you need to go to physio. It might take you like 5 years to fix that.
Holy shit!
What are you talking about? 5 years, bro? For real? Like, are you serious? Like pain where I have to make a fist and dig it in my neck and like lie down and like push really hard. Because as soon as a pain would start, it would be like full blown migraine.
Yeah, because it connects. Everything's there.
I thought I was, he's like, well, you don't have a tumor. I'm like, okay, great. Wonderful.
Check.
Yeah, thank God.
Thank you.
And so, yeah, at that point, it was a long process of just trying to get healthy.
Yeah.
So,
did you realize at that point that, because I know for me, like now, I'm realizing that one of the pillars in my life is I have to be healthier.
Oh, dude,
because if without that, you're fucked.
It's nothing, man.
And I know it's like, oh, I'll be like, oh man, you sound old. It's not by being old. Is that if you want to do anything, if you feel like shit, you're just not gonna do anything. Like everything else on that list, scratch it. It's fucking gone till you feel better. If your head is hurting you, your neck is hurting you, whatever the story is, the rest is not going to happen today.
Yeah.
So I find now for me, every day that I don't do something from a physical standpoint, if I'm not running or I'll do some weights, but just something, I know that I'm going to feel like shit mentally and even just physically, like the two of them. But mentally is the biggest one.
Yeah.
I know now when I'm not doing some sort of exercise, I literally feel like a fucking asshole.
There's no blood flow.
There's no blood flow. I feel like I'm stiff. Like mentally, I'm not as excited about the day. So I like you sound like you had like a whole period of like years where that shit had to take place and to fix yourself. I was gonna say, so how did you realize, what was the breaking point? Because there's always like a breaking point where you say, this has to stop.
Oh yeah, I was like, I want to hide under my bed.
Yeah.
Like I was just like, I don't know what to do anymore. I don't know where to go. I don't know what to think. Everything, I was fake half the time because I was in pain all the time.
Yeah.
When you're in pain, you're a monster.
Yeah. You're an asshole.
You're an asshole all the time, and it's like, taking Advil all the time. That messed up my stomach. So that you're in this sort of like
vicious circle, man.
It was really bad, and then again, motocross. I think motocross saved my life. I'm not gonna lie. God, obviously, God. I'm a Christian. That saved my life. He saved my life first. He put that sort of like awareness back into me. Mm-hmm. And it's like I just remember like realizing that you can't ride a dirt bike if you're not fully healthy and strong and
you'll kill yourself.
And yeah, you'll kill yourself. I remember once not being all there, and riding, and I heard a smack. I was like, oh, that's my head. I just fell and hit my head. On like a very simple turn going really slow.
Yeah.
At a track. And that's when I realized, all right, I think I have to change everything. Like everything. Mm-hmm. So, no more drinking, no more pain medication, no more nothing. And then, you go from walking to bike riding to like running at 4 a.m. like a psychopath in the streets.
Yeah.
Like,
so isn't it a great feeling though?
Dude, I used to get dressed. I thought I was like one of those like Navy SEALs. I'd got all dressed up in black. It's like 4:30 in the morning, and I'm running from my house to the Maisonneuve Park. It's like 3 kilometers. Like running there, running back. Like, what are you doing, dude?
Yeah.
Like.
But you needed it though.
I had no choice. I was amped. I wanted to be good at riding motocross, and
you had a purpose again. Did you feel like you had found a purpose again?
I did, but then I ended up like, everything kind of goes on the side. Like I wasn't really playing guitar much. I wasn't really doing much besides that. Like it was just like, how do I get good at this? Because people don't respect motocross riders the way they should be. They're probably the top athletes on the planet. You have to sustain like 150, 160 BPM heart rate or even higher for like a 30-minute moto. Like these guys
race car I never respected race car drivers. To be honest, I remember when I was a kid, like with F1 and all that shit, I was like, what a stupid fucking sport.
Yeah, just sitting there driving,
driving a car. You're going to tell me that guy's an athlete? Like, whatever. Like, and then when I started getting into F1, because the Netflix show a few years back, and I saw it, I said, holy shit, like, this is real. This is one, it's every time you get on it, you could die. Like, that's just the one thing, like, your chances of dying are higher than anybody else in the world right now. Yeah. And then 2, you're doing this for such a long period of time. It's not
Yeah.
a single lap.
Yeah.
You're doing this like for 42 laps or whatever the story is. So you have to sustain these vibrations and this speed and your head, the focus on it. It is absolutely insane. So hearing you say this and watching now this stuff and following it a little more, you're like, there's such a high level of respect now for someone that rides a vehicle or like a race car or fucking motocross, whatever it is, man. It's the next level
You
shit.
think, oh, you're just on a bike. It's like, dude, like the first year I just went twice, because I went to X-Town in Mirabel and took a lesson, and then I went to SRA, and those were like just like trials, like even though I knew I was gonna do it, I can only go twice because I didn't know anybody.
Yeah.
My
You
buddy.
feel kind of like weird going there at the beginning.
Yeah, because I didn't even have a car. I couldn't even go anywhere.
Yeah.
I couldn't even get there.
Yeah.
My buddy Danny was, the reason why I was able to even go, and my buddy Garen as well. He brought me to X-Town and stuff like that. If it wasn't for my friends, I wouldn't even been able to go. So I thank them for that. And then the year after, when I bought my bike, I only went like 5 times. But let me tell you, man, like after one ride at that point, I was dead for 2 weeks. I was so out of shape.
Oh yeah.
And you don't realize that you're constantly using every single part of your body. And it's not a good feeling. It's like, and I wasn't doing any jumps. I was just trying to stay on the bike.
Yeah.
So all your stabilizer muscles, your legs, everything, your positioning, people have no clue how horrific it is on your body.
Yeah.
And you're on moving terrain that changes every time. Right? So you're like, it's like constantly slipping.
You felt like shit.
I felt like.
But you said I got to go back.
I knew I had to. I want to get good at this.
Why?
Because it's first of all, I think it's the most beautiful sport on the planet. I stare at I watch motocross riders all the time on Instagram. I follow all these dudes. Even when I go to the track, I go to the track like a couple times a week, and I just watch, and I'm still in awe. I love it.
It sounds very similar to kind of like when you started playing guitar.
Yeah,
like you were obsessed
and this is
reading
before music.
Okay.
On top of that, so
It's
I
true,
feel
yeah,
like
at
a
the beginning.
kid. I feel like
You rediscovered the passion from when you were a kid.
I feel like I'm opening a portal back to my childhood every time I go to that track, And there's some guys that ride that are just so good, man. You're like, dude, you have no clue. Like they've been doing it since 6 years old, And it's like nothing for them, and it's such a difficult thing. It's so hard. It's the hardest thing I ever did in my life, And that's why I try to go as much as possible, because you know that even if you suck that day, there's a programming happening that you're going to get just a little bit better every time. And then there's maybe 2 laps of like the entire summer where I was like, I think I was decent,
Yeah.
And like you realize that your body gets so strong. Because that first couple of seasons, I was dead. Like my first full season in 2021, I was on a little Honda CRF 150, like a trail bike, basically. I bought it, and I said, I got to learn on this first, because I got to learn on something that I can kind of handle. I can put both my feet down, And so I did a first full season, every weekend. And I met so many people. At first, I was nervous. I was like, I don't know what type of people motocross people are. I was basically alone at this point.
Because you're walking into a whole culture. There's it's like
they were raised in that. Like people, you grew up at 6 years old. You like everybody knows each other. So.
Well, it's kind of like when you look at it from a context of someone walking into the music world. Like if like now for them they're walking into a music world. If let's say they talking to you and that whole group of people that have been through all the ranks of it and
get out of here, newbie.
Yeah, but there is an element of that where people are they feel like someone's gonna say that to them because they're like, I don't belong. It's like an imposter syndrome.
I still feel that way because there's dudes that are just like racing, and I can't even imagine racing. Like, do you know what it takes with these guys?
It's stressful not racing. Imagine putting now that there's literally that competition to win. It's not just completing the lap. It's to finish first.
I look at it like you survived a lap. That's how that. And I've been riding for maybe a couple years now, like 3 years now, like every season. Like my third full season. And last year I finally got on a big bike, a 250. Like a full motocross. With full suspension and stuff like that. Like not like the other bike I had. And it's insane. It's insane. Like I hope that I'm improving a little bit every day. And some of my friends say, like my friend Vero followed me on the track, and she was like, you improved a lot, this, that. I'm like, man, that's so good to hear.
Because you put so much effort and
yeah,
and it's amazing because this is kind of like learning a whole new skill. and it brought you out of this shitty place
Yeah.
where it forced you to get better. And then did this open up the James Bond project?
Oh, dude.
Or
That was
was
from
this
before. I was
okay? I was
like,
gonna say you gotta
people,
talk
people
to.
think James. I say it as a
It's
joke.
no, but it's fucking amazing.
Yeah,
Like,
I
it's
say it as
great.
a joke because I'm like, who's gonna be your new like role model? I always thought about that, because back in the day it was like you had guitar heroes or you had BMX heroes, motocross heroes when you're a kid or whatever. Who's like the ultimate hero, man?
Yeah, dude.
Like James Bond. Look at that dude,
Everybody wanted
bro.
to be James Bond. If you
Like,
watching all those movies, dude, and everyone even has their favorite James Bond.
Yeah.
Like you could tell that someone's
Yeah.
character by which fucking James Bond they like the most.
Yeah.
But everyone has one James Bond that they like.
yeah.
So
I mean, I think they're all badass. They're all cool, and it is a little cheesy here and there, but I think
of course it's cheesy, but it's amazing.
yeah, it's amazing.
Like,
'Cause
come
it's
on.
like, dude, of course I want to wear a suit every day. Are you kidding me?
Dude,
Like,
you don't want to fucking ride cars like that, fucking kick anyone's ass that shows up,
That's it.
and then like go home and get laid by like the hottest girls in the world. Like
it's like I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem with that.
I think I could live with this life.
Yeah,
I
it
think I
might
could be
work.
James Bond,
It could work.
and you're fucking cool at the same
Yeah.
time. Like you have everything.
So
Anyways,
I made that list, but it's sort of like a bucket list.
Yeah.
At the same time as like a list that like I don't want to just touch on these things. Oh, I did it. No, I want to. It's a list of things I wanted to integrate into my life that I
Yeah.
wanted to do as this is part of me now. So I said between 40 and 45. I got 1 year left, turning 45 next year. I want all this stuff that I wrote on the list to not just have been touched on, but now they're
done it.
integrated. I'm
Yeah.
good at these, or I'm getting good at these
they're
things.
part of the pie now.
part of my everyday life, like my weekly life or whatever. And now the friends that I made in motocross, I love them. I made so many great friends, different walks of life, and I look forward to seeing them. I look forward to seeing the staff at X Town. I love them.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah,
they're super cool people, and it's like I have so much fun there every weekend. Sweltering heat yesterday, man. Like there were maybe 10 people there, and even Alex at the track was like, "I can't believe you guys are riding today," and he's like a
"You sick
hardcore
fucks."
dude.
Dude, I can't even imagine how hot it was.
It took
And
half
the
hour
heat from the bike, the heat from the outfit, the helmet,
Yeah.
and it's like plus fucking a million.
Yeah. You stop sweating like half hour after you stop, like you're in the shade.
Oh my God.
And I was just
would've
dripping,
died.
dripping. But I mean, the first couple times I think it was in 2019 when I went out, I got heat stroke. I really didn't feel good.
Yeah.
Like I really didn't feel well.
This is 2019. You
This
said
is 2019. Like that time I only went like 5 times, and then the year after, I went every weekend whether it was freezing cold, raining, or if the track was open, I went. Same thing last year. Last year I went like 41 times. I have season pass.
Wow.
So it doesn't matter how hot it is, and like all this crap about sunscreen, I don't buy it at all.
I know. I don't wear sunscreen. I
Dude,
never wear sunscreen.
I just
I'm
put
like,
a white towel over my head, wet it.
I'm like, it's the sun.
Yeah.
In my mind, I'm like, this was here for like a fucking billion
Yeah.
years.
I don't buy it,
It gives you
man.
your vitamin D. Like I don't know. I'm like, why would I buy something that has chemicals
Yeah.
to protect me from something natural? Like
If you have really fair skin and you have a
I get it.
sensitivity,
I get it.
that's not what I'm talking about. For me,
Yeah.
like I remember putting this stuff on because I was like, maybe I should, because I felt sick last time. Maybe I should do this. And I remember coming home and being like, I'm putting on this stuff, and I was like, man, I just it stinks, and I don't want it on my skin, man.
Yeah.
Like I just had an aversion to it.
Yeah.
But like at the end of the day, to kind of wrap it up or whatever, I went from, oh, you heard my stomach there? You're gonna have to put a noise gate on that shit, bro.
I'm gonna accentuate. I'm gonna tell
Yeah,
Chris
yeah.
the guy that's producing. Say, put it louder. Then just this one part.
It's like I remember watching a podcast and I heard like the guy's like throat the whole time. I was like, dude, I can't do this. I can't. I gotta go. I can't hear this guy's gurgling all day. I'm gonna throw up. So, I wanted to get stronger. I wanted to get tougher. I want to get good at this. And like I know it's gonna take a long time because
Isn't that the fun part though? Like
it is, but like I want to fast forward a little bit. But my friends always tell me, dude, that's when you're gonna get hurt.
Exactly. It's so funny you say that because I ran a 10K in Ottawa a few
That's
months
sick.
back.
That's a lot.
I ran the 10K, and to be honest, I got fucked up on the Thursday before.
Smart, really intelligent.
I self-sabotaged, to be honest. When I think about it, I did. It's all like I almost wanted to fuck things up for myself because a few weeks prior to that, I just stopped running. I got annoyed with it. Then the Thursday before the race, I got fucking destroyed. The Friday I ate McDonald's or Burger King. Like I ate like
Why?
shit. I'm telling you, that's what was like a crazy, like when I think about it, it was like a self-sabotage.
Man.
And then the Saturday, the race was in Ottawa. So I drove to Ottawa the Saturday morning, the day of the race. I didn't eat anything because I was still on this hangover that was lingering from the Thursday. Got there, napped. I didn't eat. I was dehydrated. It was super hot, all this shit. And I finished, and I actually wanted to not go. To be honest, I was looking for a reason to quit and not do it. And then, like, because now with my kid, I was kind of like, what am I going to do? Am I going to be that person that says they're going to do stuff and they're not going to do it?
Oh yeah, no, you can't be that
I
guy.
can't be that person. Like I never wanted to be that person, and now it's like I feel like I think I said this on another one. It was like I felt like I always have a camera on me now, and like she's watching what I'm doing. So these things they're gonna linger and they're gonna stick around in her life if I do something like this. So I said, hey asshole, you said you were gonna fucking do this thing. You're gonna go do it, and even if you fucking die today, you're gonna fucking go. So I did it, and then when I did it, I looked at it from a standpoint of saying, not I was happy I did it. I said, what else are you kind of like holding yourself back on? You just did this 10K. You're not gonna die. You're tired, but you fucked this up and you still finished it. And that night I came home, like when we came home from Ottawa, I signed up for the marathon, which I'm gonna be doing in a few weeks.
Awesome.
And I said, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to. I never fucking ran this much.
Yeah.
And now it's like every week you've seen the progress, like you were saying about the bike and motocross, and you're just like you see this progression, and now you kind of want this to go faster. You're like, how come I can't reach? And then all of a sudden you hit a new level, and you're like, oh man, I hit 20K now. I could do it. And all of a sudden you get the next week, you got a little too confident, and you completely bomb. You can't even do 10K. You're like, what the fuck just happened?
Yeah.
I backpedaled.
Yeah.
And so
That happens all the time.
it happens all the time, and you realize that it's almost like it always has to do this process of up, down, and then it goes up, and then you don't realize it how much you've really grown from it. And for me personally, like based on the story, like I didn't know like 90% of the story, to be honest. Today I knew like the highlights as a musician, but then watching that stuff, like I said when I first reached out to you, was the sports stuff that I was like, holy fuck, this guy is known to be a guitarist. What the fuck's he doing on this bike? What's he
A lot of
doing
my friends tell me
parkour?
that. Dude, what are you doing, bro?
But it was cool. Like to me, the transformation
Yeah.
to me was what really intrigued me. That's what I really want to know more. And then there's the parkour stuff too, that you're fucking.
that's a lot of fun because people think, oh, there's other things you can do for core. It's like, dude, everything I do is core. Like I do other stuff too, you know, like, but parkour was just another way to like stress the body out a little more in things that I believe are maybe useful. Like I think you might need to outrun people. And,
One
like,
day you might need that.
need to like scale a wall and
Yeah.
like maybe jump from a rooftop to another rooftop. You might need that. And I
Yeah.
don't know if I'm crazy, but I met this dude Mike and at Para Gym,
Okay.
and I ended up taking a couple. I did maybe 3 lessons with him outdoors at Olympic Stadium.
I saw the videos.
Dude, that guy's a badass, man. If you see the way, like the shape he's in and what he could do, him and his buddy Nikita, and I was just like, I want to do 1/1,000,000th of what they can do.
Yeah.
If I can achieve that, and I think the physical conditioning alone is worth the time that I spend with them. You know?
Don't you find also, to me, I'm realizing the physical benefit of these things.
Yeah, man.
But to be honest, the thing that is giving me like the ultimate hard on, if you want to call it, is the mental stuff.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
I'm like, oh my God, what did I think how many times have I said I couldn't do something? Was it just my head that got in the way? So it's really like transformed my outlook on all these things that seem so scary
Yeah.
or so hard, impossible, can't do. And now they're starting to become all things that is, if you work hard at it and you understand it and you connect with people that know how to do it and you get a guide to help you through the process, and you realize like they started the exact same way most likely.
Yeah.
Maybe they did it younger, but they all started with this like curious mentality.
Yeah.
And the moment you're curious on something,
That's what it's all
that's
about.
when you'll grow through it.
That's why I had that band Curious Case. It was just like there's a curiosity you have for certain things. Like, how does that work? How does that work?
Yeah.
Why is that like that? What about this? I'm just a very analytical person when it comes to things that I'm for some reason interested in something.
Yeah.
You don't know why you're interested in it. I'm not interested in everything,
Yeah, I can't be.
you know, but there are certain things that I am, and I want to explore them. I want to know, like, parkour. Really, you see these dudes running through a park doing a backflip. Like, you should see this dude. You know, he's on Facebook. My coach Mikhail Sputnik Roskov. I think his last name is Roskov.
Russians, man.
Dude's awesome.
They're
Jumps
always
off
next
a
level. I
wall.
love it.
Dude, backflip, spin this, that off a roof. I'm like, dude, that's insane, man.
It's-
Like, I just want to be trained in a way where I get a bit stronger, because I just want to be like, I guess, like a bit tougher, and I think if I could learn how to maybe like avoid a bad crash even, like, or be able to take an impact better, or maybe there's something, in this training that's, I guess you can call it calisthenics, I think. Is that the proper term for what these dudes do also?
I guess.
Because, we're working on different, monkey bars and hanging and climbing and all that stuff, so just hanging off one of those things is so painful.
Oh man, I saw the video. Like, dude,
I couldn't believe it. I was like,
I watched you go around. I said,
that wasn't even the hard one. Just the regular hanging, I was tripping, man.
Yeah.
It was so painful on your wrists and your joints and it's like, I didn't know it was that bad.
Yeah.
And that was only like a minute.
It's crazy. But what's amazing is that you're seeing this whole transformation, and you said you have your list, your bucket list from 40 to 45, and you have a year left.
Yeah.
Are there a bunch of things that you haven't even scratched on that list?
There's stuff that I'm doing that I almost don't want to say.
Okay.
But I might say.
It's up to you if you want to say.
Because it's
no pressure, but fucking say
it. There's things that like, that pertain to music, and there's things that pertain to just physical and just, things where you're like, when you're on your deathbed, are you going to be that guy who says, I should have done that. I should have said that. I really wanted to do this or that or whatever. I don't want to be that guy, man.
I know. I have such a fear of that.
Yeah.
I honestly, like, I think of that moment and I say, fuck, I don't want to have that feeling when I'm old.
You can't, man. You can't. I mean, I think that's one of the worst things ever. So that's why I put this pressure on myself to do certain things,
Yeah.
I remember a few years ago, a friend of mine was saying, hey, we should come salsa with me or whatever. And I was like, you think I'm going to go in Montreal to a salsa? I don't know how to salsa. Oh, I'm sure you're going to be good at it. It's like, what are you talking about?
Why would you be sure that I'd be good at salsa?
I mean, I have rhythm. I'm a musician, but like, I would have to go take classes. So I did. I started taking classes last month.
No way.
Dude, it's awesome. Because I want to be Prince, right? So I figured I know I have rhythm.
I love that it always goes back to Prince.
I want to be able to, next time I play, I want to bust some moves, No. I'm just saying, like, I want to get good at
something that,
this is like an interesting thing. I like it. Like, I like watching people dance bachata and salsa and all that. So I took a few classes. I think it's fun. I think it's going good. And I'm like, I'm gonna continue until I
it's
kind
part of the
like,
James Bond process.
Yeah, I don't think he salsas, but maybe
he can dance.
Ballroom dance.
Yeah, dude.
For sure. So I was like, I'm gonna continue this until I'm good at it, and we'll see. Maybe I won't be that guy in a salsa club, but at least I'll know some of the moves. At least I'll have some of the technical aspects kind of down. You know, just like with like a couple other things that I think every man should do a martial art. Every woman too, whatever you want to say. But like, I know some pretty badass women, that are amazing at martial arts.
Yeah.
Fine. That's not the point. I think,
just that element of being like, there's always the element of self-sufficient in every way.
Yeah.
That you can protect yourself, that you can feed yourself, that you can take care of yourself. Like those things I think are foundational.
Yeah.
For everybody, like man, woman, whatever. There's no point on a gender. It's just a concept of things that everyone should have. So that way, if something ever happens, like you can always just handle it.
That's it. So in March, I signed up for kickboxing because I was so scared of it because I've been wanting to do it for so long, and I kept hearing, "Oh, you'll break a finger." Oh, okay, no, not gonna do it. Oh, you might hurt yourself. Oh, you're gonna get a broken this, a broken that. So I always avoided it. And
plus physically, you were saying like for a long time you weren't well.
Dude, I wasn't.
So
I wouldn't have been able to handle it.
Yeah, now it's different, dude. Compared to the type of like physical stress that you're taking on your body, you can handle something like this now.
And it took years to kind of actually like just say, you know what, I'm fed up of saying I want to do it. So I walked by the school. It's on Jean Talon, right near my place. I walked in and I just signed up, and then man, those first few weeks sucked. I walked there and walked home, and I limped home for like a month. It's so hard. It was so hard in the beginning. Not limber, not strong, not coordinated. You think you're coordinated.
Yeah, but you're not.
You think you have rhythm. You think you have groove. You're not, bro.
Yeah.
Just one of the combinations they tell you to do. You're like, what? So I
I
started
tried a
taking.
Muay Thai class. I felt like a fucking idiot.
That's
I
the
was
thing.
like, why can't my left arm and right
You have
arm
to do
work?
it. You
Yeah.
have to do those movements and practice them. So the classes are a couple times a week, and then I take like a private class as well every other Monday, and I think those help immensely
Yeah.
because I'm able to really focus. He's able to focus in on me and correct certain things, but it takes a long time. It's gonna take a long time before, you know, it's the movements are fluid and I'm not so tight and everything. It's 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 probably one of the coolest, best, most fun things. And again, the people in the class are
Yeah.
awesome, dude. You look forward to. At first, you're like, "What the hell did I do? I can't
Yeah.
believe I signed up to this. I can't believe it. It's like Tuesday. I want to go home and go to bed."
It's always the same
But
story though.
but you
Whenever you
do
try
it,
something new, it's always like, oh, why did I do this to myself? And
and
then if
now
you
it's
just
like,
and now
can't wait to go. You know?
stick around for 1 month.
Yeah, that's
It's
the
like
thing.
almost like the 30-day
Yeah,
process has to happen so that way you can realize stop being a fucking bitch.
yeah.
Stop being a bitch and just continue.
Realize that habits are habits.
Exactly.
Bad habits, addictions to bad habits are basically like you can get addicted to good
Good
habits.
habits.
And like you don't really realize that. But now, dude, I can't wait to get to the track and it's like a pretty long drive to Mirabel.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to get there. Like I jump out of bed to pack my bag to get out there. This week I already went 4 times.
That's amazing.
It's crazy. It's a long drive. It's like, but I 100% enjoy it. Same thing with classes. I can't wait to go. I don't eat dinner. I just pack my bag and
Yeah.
I can't wait. I can't wait to see everybody and have a good laugh in there. And then basically like they destroy you.
Yeah.
It's super hard,
And then you come
You know?
home satisfied.
dude.
That's the crazy
Again,
part.
From limping home to like bouncing home, like walking home totally fine, and like you're exhausted, you're beat up, maybe you're a little hurt, whatever. Then you have your shake and you go to bed. You feel like $1,000,000.
That's awesome,
You know,
man.
I'm tired a lot, but that's getting better. You really do see a progression. You really do see how you can get good at anything, man. If you enjoy it, if you want to do it,
I was about to say that. Whenever you feel like there's purpose
Look how
involved.
gross this is. Sorry to disturb you. Look how gross that is. Such a gross person.
Dude, but every time you do
Sorry.
something, you see progress, you can't help. I remember where I'd read this, but it's just the key to life is progress. You just need to always be working on something. It doesn't matter what the fuck it is,
Yeah.
but you need to keep working on it because when you do that, you see the progress of it. And the progress of it is what makes you get up in the morning to continue to say, I want to be better at it. Yeah. And I noticed that for like, to kind of wrap things up a bit, but it's the idea of what I loved in the conversation today is that you saw that there's you have this methodical process that you like from now learning more and more about you. It's like when you love something, you focus on it, you put attention to it, you work hard on it. So to me, like you kind of brought always those qualities in everything that you're doing now, but it's kind of like something now that you're seeing how you're integrating all this in your life where you had music and then you kind of dropped everything for music for so long that everything else didn't matter. And now you're learning that, and it's kind of like it's nice to hear that because a lot of times when people start hitting, let's say 40, I know I'm hitting 40 this year, and for me, I've never felt better. People like they look at 40 like, oh man, oof. I remember when I was 20 and someone told me 40, I was like, I'd rather be dead.
It's like 40, dude. It's gonna be rough.
Oh, it's gonna be
actually
rough.
this is when we feel the strongest, where we feel the best.
Dude,
I really feel the best now. Like I
I've
feel
nev-
healthy finally.
I've never been this healthy in my life, to be honest. I've never been more focused in my life. I've never gotten things accomplished.
Yeah.
As like I thought I accomplished a lot of shit, but I fucked around a lot.
Yeah.
That's what I noticed. Like I worked hard, but I fucked around a lot.
Yeah.
And now it's like I still fuck around, but I know when to fuck around.
Yeah.
Where before it was just like, I'd get sidetracked by so many things. So it's nice hearing this story, and I'd love to hear, once you finish your 40 to 45 to see where the 45 to 50 is going to be because there's always the new ones, right?
Yeah. There's always a new list.
Awesome, man. And dude, I'm so happy you made it out here.
Thanks, man. It was a lot of fun, dude.
Yeah, dude. Honestly,
hang.
I had a great time, and hopefully we'll keep in touch after this because and I'm following this shit anyways. I'm seeing it anyways, but I'd love to kind of keep in touch and
Yeah, for sure, man. There's other stuff coming out, so if ever, we'll get back together and hang out again.
Well, there's the new albums that are coming out.
Yeah, the new record probably next year because it's gonna take a long time to actually finish it. I'm still writing it, but I actually just spoke to Simon at Godin, the owner of Godin Guitars, so I'm gonna be doing a couple more videos with them soon. So that's gonna be a lot of fun. I'm gonna do some videos with Diamond Pedals as well. I spoke to Greg the other day. Solid gold effects and diamond pedals.
Oh, that's cool, man.
That's gonna be fun. Sort of, while I'm preparing, the new music, it's good to have these
other passions. It's like,
yeah, these companies that have always been supportive. I've been working with them forever, so that's gonna be good, man. It's gonna be some cool videos coming out for sure.
So if somebody wanted to follow or do anything, is there a specific page you want?
Israfel World everywhere, like Israfel World on Instagram and on YouTube. Not much going on YouTube because I just do little videos on Instagram for now. I'm just sort of kind of getting back to putting things together,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be a little while, but I'm trying.
Hey,
trying to put this stuff out as soon as possible. It's gonna take a while, but
hey, man, you know what? When it comes, it comes. Like
Yeah,
you can't you can't force things. They're
yeah.
gonna happen. Like keep doing the right things, and inevitably it'll come out.
yeah.
Man,
Thanks so much, dude.
thanks, dude.
Hell yeah, man. Appreciate it, man.
Honestly,
Nice.
had a great time.
Me too, man. A lot of fun. I went from, oh, you hurt my stomach there. You're gonna have to put a noise gate on that shit, bro.
I'm gonna accentuate. I'm gonna tell
Yeah,
Chris
yeah.
the guy that's producing. Say, put it louder. Then just this one part. Hey, thanks for checking out the show. It's been awesome working on this project. And if you like it, tell a friend. And if you want to support the show, you can by 1, subscribing and liking our YouTube channel at the DMW Podcast. 2, you can go to our website and sign up to our mailing list at the dmwpodcast.com. And 3, you can follow us on Instagram at the DMW Podcast. Thanks again for all of your support. My name is Stef, and this is the Dead Man Walking Podcast.